This country is different today, and it's going to be different than it ever was for many years to come.
Our nation was attacked, and for a moment, we were unified, especially when President Bush established the Department of Homeland Security, including a sub-agency called Immigration and Customs Enforcement. These agencies were established to prevent further terrorism from taking place on our soil. Eventually, the dust settled, and the threat faded. Then in 2016, Donald Trump ran for president, and he needed a new terrorist.
These are stone-cold killers. They'll walk into your kitchen, they'll cut your throat. They've got stuff that's unbelievable. They're young, they're tough, nasty people. Your state will be a dumping ground for people that have committed murder, violent crimes, drugs. What they're doing to the fabric, to the guts of our country, it's not even believable. And you see what's going on. These people are roaming our country. They could go into a restaurant, they could do whatever they want. They were drug dealers, gang members, and even 11,888 murderers, more than 50% of whom killed more than one person. This is what the Biden administration allowed to happen to our country, and it can never be allowed to happen again.
When we had, beginning I think about 2016, this massive influx across the border, people were astonished by that and really upset.
They're afraid that if we let in everyone, we won't survive economically, we'll be overwhelmed.
So, President Trump made his move, striking down bipartisan immigration reform and campaigning on mass deportations. Republican governors fell in line. Governor Ron DeSantis skipped in line.
Of all the issues in the election, I can tell you this immigration and border issue was either the top or right near the top on all people's minds.
If you need a roof on in Florida, I guarantee you almost all the workers are going to be undocumented aliens, or documented in a precarious way since they maybe crossed the border and got some type of temporary stay.
There are at least 40,000 illegal immigrants working in Jacksonville. Many of them have been working for 20 years. They do things like working in our nursing homes, replacing our roofs, landscaping. But again, for those of us that follow Jesus, the Jesus that I understand, we need to be willing to die for the purpose of being kind and loving to others. So in other words, my safety is less important than I be just and welcoming to the stranger.
This idea that unless you're an axe murderer, you should be able to stay, that is not consistent with our laws, and it's also not good policy.
We're excited to be the first state to announce our own ICE agent embed in the state.
If you go looking for ICE in Florida, you'd be hard-pressed to find them, because in Florida, our ICE doesn't wear masks. They wear badges, state badges.
We're the only state in the country that requires all state and local law enforcement to participate and to assist ICE.
Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, the Florida Department of Agriculture, and the Florida State Guard will now have more authority to stop immigrants who are not authorized to be in the country.
But just how effective was all this cooperation? A group of protesters were soon to find out.
I've been dealing with a lot of foolishness lately with Ron DeSantis. We all have. The fact that they basically use $500 million of our taxpayer dollars to stand up raggedy-ass, modern-day concentration camps. Say shame. Shame! Say shame! 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 And look all around us. We literally have 20 cops down there, 20 more law enforcement officers down there.
So I'm gonna first say that peaceful protests are part of our democracy. We invite people to share their opinions. That's what our country is all about. The key word in that is peaceful. And if it's peaceful, us in law enforcement are going to make sure you have a safe environment to do it in.
At the start of the rally, or the start of what we were going to have the rally, pretty much have a meetup spot, Jacksonville Sheriff's Office filled up the entire parking lot and blocked it off. And then they continuously blocked off parking out from the range of where the rally was going to be, because they didn't want people to have that rally.
There was tons of police. I think it's the most I've ever seen that blocked off every single private property. It almost seemed like they didn't even ask the private property whether or not it was okay to block it off. I went all the way down the city. That was blocked off. I went to the supermarkets. It was blocked off. Of course, every single apartment complex, they all had signs, no trespassing. So I actually went down, had to go to a park that was like maybe 2 or 3 miles away.
And they decided to use their resources, allocate their 40% of the city budget that they have towards JSO to coordinate with local businesses and get them to agree to trespass orders, to block off areas, and just assign a bunch of officers to one sparsely populated location. And they are constantly screaming and crying that there's not enough officers, that they need to hire more cops, that they don't have enough people to respond. Clearly, look at all these people that could be responding to any number of situations.
Today, I am here and I am proud to award over $1.8 million to support our sheriff's offices in their efforts to assist ICE with illegal immigration enforcement.
And the funds to pay for these new duties will be coming from grants.
We have different people that are victimized by illegal aliens every day in this country. Not all of them have criminal records at the time. In fact, probably most of them don't. But under some view, it's like, okay, yeah, you come illegally, and then you stay until you commit a really violent crime.
DeSantis is actually right here. Only 5% of all immigrant detainees have violent priors. But 100% might be guilty, it's true, of illegal entry. It's a misdemeanor. Do you know what else are misdemeanors? Jaywalking, littering, running red lights, and of course, improper entry.
Had that 2x4 there, so we're out of the ordinary. Yeah. What is that there?
And do you know why we're here today?
¿Sabes por qué estamos aquí ahora? No, no sé.
You will be held accountable for your crimes.
Vas a ser arrestado por los crímenes que tienes.
And we'll take you in for processing.
Where do you put such terrible people?
Our state is operating detention facilities that are housing people in deplorable conditions. And now this new one that they're trying to call Deportation Depot, we call it Baker Cruelty Camp, is in Sanderson, Florida.
And so we have identified this location. It'll be able to hold more than 1,300 illegal alien detainees. You will have the same services that you have at Alligator Alcatraz.
They repurposed an old prison that had been previously closed into this, what they're calling Deportation Depot, we call Baker Cruelty Camp, and they're holding folks there, again, without due process.
These camps were expensive. $500 million expensive.
That's a big-ass bill.
So, Ronnie went to the feds, and after being foiled not once, but twice, he was able to rub together $573 million in state funds. Roughly 70% went to private donors and no-bid construction contracts, a quarter of that going to Duty Calls, a porta-potty company. That's some expensive shit.
This is something that the Division of Emergency Management worked very quickly on.
Wait, FEMA's reimbursing us? Where the hell did Ron even get this money from? Yeah, he raided our state emergency fund for all this money. And what did our lawmakers do in the face of this? We decided, let's do it again.
We've had 4 years to see what this has become. And we've had 4 years to see the abuse. And we had the opportunity to fix it. And I don't understand why we didn't.
This trust fund will assure that this state is prepared to respond for disasters.
Regardless of any other factor, it's necessary for Florida to have a trust fund that's in place to respond to disasters.
We're not confident that these dollars are actually going to be reimbursed by the federal government. And even if they are, so much of the spending is wrong.
So, how do you deport an immigrant in Florida? First, you pretend that 1% of immigrants are all the immigrants, because who doesn't love some fear-mongering? Then, you use the false promise of federal reimbursement to raid taxpayer funds for disaster relief. Hope you've got some house insurance. Next, you use these dollars to outsource ICE duties to state law enforcement, because they don't already have a job to do, right? Then, you use what money you have left to build detention centers for our misdemeanor offenders. Can't have them roaming the streets. Oh, and don't forget to pay off your donors and grant your no-bid construction contracts to all of your cronies. And finally, make sure you convince your lawmaking pals to let you do it all over again. After all, what is America, if not the land of opportunity?
You can go to live in France, but you cannot become a Frenchman. You can go to live in Germany or Turkey or Japan, but you cannot become a German, a Turk, or Japanese. But anyone from any corner of the earth can come to live in America and become an American.
These are stone cold killers. They're rapists. They're sending people that have lots of problems